You went to Yale and you went to Harvard, and I think you went to Yale with J.D. Vance. I think you guys at one point were classmates, right? So here's a story from Wall Street Journal.
Okay.
Sorry, Vivek. It says specifically Vivek there in the title. By the way. No, it's sorry, Harvard.
I see.
Everyone wants to go to college in the South now. Okay, let's see if there's any credibility here. Or for the parents that still want to send their kids to Harvard, let's see if you have something else to say. Northern student migration to Southern schools has surged by 84% in 2 decades, a 30% jump from 2018 to 2022. Schools like University of Alabama saw Northeastern student enrollment rise from less than 1% in 2002 to 11% in 2022. At the University of Mississippi, Northeastern freshmen increased from 11 in 2002 to 200 over 2022. Pandemic experience and social media influenced their shift as Northern students saw their schools under lockdown while Southern campuses stayed active. Georgia Tech's Rick Clark noted they are seeing sororities at Alabama and football games in Georgia and Florida. Life is happening. Applications to Alabama surged by 600% in 2002 compared to 200% increase at Harvard. Economic benefits and post-graduation prospects drive the move, with Southern schools offering lower tuition. The median out-of-state tuition at Southern public schools is $29,000, much lower than Northeastern counterparts. What do you say to this story?
It's competition, man. It's beauty. Competition breeds innovation. And I think that the response to the pandemic, I think, was horrific by a lot of these schools, effectively still charging the same tuition while doing remote learning. Sure. That's a joke. But I also think that a lot of the bureaucracy at places like Harvard have added cost. You have the managerial class, the associate deans of diversity or whatever, adding cost without adding actual value. Harvard used to be predicated on, the slogan of the school is Veritas. Means truth, right? And that meant something when I was there, actually. It was a liberal-leaning place, but forget about the liberal versus conservative. I don't care about that. It still was a place where you could exchange ideas, where you could express your ideas even if they ran against the norm, and the best ideas would win. I loved it. I had a great experience there. That is not the same school that exists today. The same thing I would say of Yale. And so when a school itself or a university starts becoming something other than its true self, then people are going to flee. It's like a company. It's like a state. It's like a government. Same thing as a university is when it falls short of its own true North Star, right? Harvard's never a party school. So it's not that people are going to the South. I don't think it's just because, they're able to have more fun football games. That's been the case, I'm sorry, for the last 50 years, okay? Harvard's football games have not been as fun to go to as Clemson's or Georgia's, okay, or Ohio State, where I'm at. That's not the axis where Harvard's ever going to compete. That was never its value proposition. But when it fails on its own value proposition to say that, okay, you're going to pursue truth, that all ideas are fair game. No, you can't even do that, and you have to fear for free speech. Well, then it's a question of, what the heck am I getting out of this? Because I'm not getting fun football. I'm not getting a good party environment. I'm not having a lot of, let's just say traditional college-age fun. But at the same time, I'm also not getting the rigors of intellectual exploration and freedom and exchange of thought and open debate. Well, at that point, now prices are that much higher because they've hired an associate dean of God knows what. I'm not getting the value relative to what this institution has to offer. Do I think that a lot of those schools that in that article where people are flocking to are offering that old value proposition that Harvard used to? Probably not, if I'm being honest about it. But are they offering at least some value proposition that's different and more authentic and true to what their university is? Yes, and I think that people want that. There's institution, you want it to offer the best version of itself. Harvard is not offering the best version of itself, and perhaps the likes of Georgia Tech and Clemson and Ole Miss are. So competition, that's how it works.
Tom, your thoughts on this?
I think you're exactly right on competition. U.S. News and World Reports puts out the rankings, and they're generally regarded as being probably the most acceptable ranking. And University of Florida is up to number 25, and they have tremendous engineering school that's up there, as does Georgia Tech. Rice and Vanderbilt are known as the Ivies of the South, specifically. And I think also we all saw kind of the dark underbelly in front of Congress, as you had the presidents of Harvard, MIT, and Penn, I believe that was the three, sit there and not give acceptable answers on how they would provide protections for all students if protests on campus were getting a little out of hand, leading to some of those presidents taking different jobs or being removed. And I think
I got to say a word about that one, though, because this will be this is so important. Just to inject a little bit of diversity of opinion here. I think that there's two directions those schools could go, okay? And I'm in the camp of I actually want Harvard and Yale to become great schools and great universities true to their mission again. I think that's good for them. I think it's good for the country. I don't want to see them go the direction of saying, okay, well, we've been censoring all this other speech, so now we're going to censor this other kind of speech too, and we weren't doing enough censorship. I think the right answer is the opposite of that is, okay, actually, let's be really honest. We're standing in front of Congress saying we stand for free speech when in fact we have not. Let's go back to first principles where any opinion, not violence, not obstruction of classrooms, but expression of any opinion is fair game. And I think that is the fork in the road ahead for these universities. And what I'm worried about is we're seeing them learn the wrong lesson from all of this to say is, oh, yes, you're right. We've censored all different forms of speech in the name of woke dogma, but we didn't censor what we will call anti-Semitic speech either, and that we need to expand the net of what we censor. I think it's the other direction that they need to go to say, actually, we weren't really staying true to principles of free speech in the first place. Let's re-embrace that. That's who we are. And so anyway, that's a fork in the road ahead for these universities. I'm not one of these Republicans that likes to it's a very fashionable thing to do right now, where you go to like an Ivy League school and you rail against the elites and rail against the Ivy Leagues. Like, I'm not that person. I actually had great experiences at Harvard and Yale. I'm proud that I was able to get a great education. I'm grateful to a country that was able to provide it. I want those schools to become the best version of themselves again. I don't want to see us retreat to mediocrity, which is to say that, oh, well, there's a lot of other schools where you can get a decent education and, it'll be one of the top 300 schools in the world. No, I want the best universities on planet Earth to be in the United States of America, as they always have been.
As a guy who went to Harvard and Yale, how many kids do you have?
2.
Okay. Would you want them to go to Harvard or Yale?
Very interesting question. So if you'd asked me maybe before we had kids, this would have been maybe 6, 7, 10 years ago, I would have said yes. If you ask both me, and I think my wife probably would have said the same thing. She went to Yale for undergrad and for med school. If you ask both of us now, we totally are agnostic on this because, there's nothing really that special about these places right now. In fact, you get a lot of the self-importance without the actual substance.
Right.
But I hope those places, or maybe it's going to be somebody else that takes their place, but there is a unambiguous class of university that's the best place on planet Earth to get a higher education. I hope that exists in the United States. And whether it's Harvard or Yale or somewhere else, I hope that place exists because that's where we would dream and aspire to send our own kids, just as Apoorv and I were able to enjoy ourselves. And that's different from the current that's like sort of just anti-elite. It's like sort of like a fashionable thing. I don't really know what that exactly means, but it's sort of saying, oh, well, all that higher education stuff is mumbo-jumbo bogus anyway. It's not the right answer for everybody, but I want that to exist as an option for the people who it is right for. And right now, the sad part is the places that were the standard bearers of that type of education, the top form of education. I think it's great for that to exist in America. The problem is Harvard and Yale aren't fulfilling that standard right now. But that's a different point from saying that, I think the whole category is a mistake. No, I don't. I think the category should exist, and I want America to have the best version of it. And, I think that that's different from just lazily sitting in an armchair and saying, oh, we're against the elites.
Fully agree with you because this comes down to value. The bigger, larger conversation is college a scam? You've done content on this. We've seen people on the left like Andrew Yang come out and basically say the math just doesn't add up. His whole math thing that he's doing. You even see what Charlie Kirk is doing, going on campus.
I've gone with
meeting
him,
yeah. I've seen this.
Charlie wrote
incredible.
a book.
Yeah, the whole college is a scam thing. So the bigger question is, everything's changing in this country. Social media has changed the game. COVID has changed the game. We talk about all the time, 13-to-1 liberal professors in universities in the elite centers of higher education versus for every one conservative. Is it indoctrination? Is it education? Harvard's endowment fund, $50 billion. Pat has a discussion, who's the number one client of the university? A lot of times it's the endowment, $50 billion, the Bill Ackmans of the world, the Leon Blacks of the world, basically pulling their money away from these universities. Things are changing. 50% of people in the United States never even graduated college, I believe is what it is. Technical schools, trade schools, entrepreneurship was a taboo word 20 years ago. Now it is forefront in the world. I think just things are changing so fast that the old answer of you got to go to college and get your degree, and that's the answer, that's no longer what it comes down to.
Obviously.
These days,
Obviously.
right?
Yeah. And I just think that I just don't want to see us make the same mistake that we made by saying that, okay, we're going to be closed-minded and say 4-year college degree is the only answer. That was silly. And in retrospect, it was wrong for a lot of people who were forced into that system versus 2-year trade schools, vocational programs, maybe even getting an entrepreneurship or small business right out of high school. That's an answer for a lot of people. I don't want to see us shift in the other direction because a 4-year college degree is the right answer for a number of other people who may view that as the right calling or the right way to fulfill themselves. And so I think that, again, it comes back to competition. We should have multiple options. The government shouldn't be subsidizing some of these things. The Department of Education, it is actually a good example even in the America First right. It's a kind of a divide that I talk about in the book. One answer could say, well, the Department of Education has subsidized 4-year college degrees to be a gender studies major in California, which didn't work out. Well, now we should instead be subsidizing 2-year college programs or vocational degrees. I view it differently. We shouldn't be subsidizing any of it. Shut it down and just give the money back to the people. That's the true answer.
So some of you guys asked us about the only wallet that I wear. This is the wallet that I wear. This is the Valuetainment wallet that I wear. ID, cards, cash, easy to use. It's not heavy. It's not thick. It's not, and it's 100% leather. It is the only wallet you will see in my pocket. It's not a Fendi. It's not a Ferragamo. It's not a Louis Vuitton. It's none of that stuff. It's a Valuetainment wallet with the logo on the side. They're back, and here's what we're doing today, which I'm excited about. If you order one of the wallets, which, Rob, let's put the link for the wallet. If you order one of the wallets that we have them in brown, we have them in black. We're going to give you the card holder and the keychain of Valuetainment sent your way. Price $99. The link will be below for you guys to get. And you can add other Future Looks Bright gear anyways, because the event we're hosting here soon that we'll announce, to attend it, you will have to wear Future Looks Bright gear.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.